Hello, my favorite English language learners. It is your favorite English teacher here, Amy Joy, and in today's video, I'm going to tell you 5 words you need to stop using when talking about writing. And these 5 words are article, attractive, efficient, looks, and vivid. Now, these words are great when used correctly, but over the years, I have noticed my students using them way too often and inaccurately. So I'm going to tell you what's wrong with these words, as well as different vocabulary words to replace them. So let's get started. Our first word that you should stop using is the word article. Oftentimes, my students will come to my office hours and say, I want to talk about my article. Well, actually, the word article refers to a specific genre or a specific type of paper, and this refers to newspaper articles, scientific or journal articles, or even magazine articles. So an article is a specific type or a genre of writing. Now, I understand that this is mostly because in a lot of classes you might be reading articles, so students think that any type of writing is an article. So students overgeneralize and then use the word article to talk about any type of writing that they are doing. But many times when you have a writing assignment in university or in your class, your instructor did not assign the genre of an article. So for me, if I have a paper in my class, but I didn't assign my students to write an article specifically, it sounds kind of funny to me for them to tell me that they wrote an article. So instead of using this word, you can replace the word article with assignment, essay, paper to talk about writings more generally. So the next time you come to my office hours, you can say, I want to talk about my assignment, my essay, or my paper. And the second word you should stop using is the word attractive. So when students are talking about writing, they might say, your hook makes your paper more attractive. Now, I understand why students do this. Oftentimes, they have been taught to use a hook at the beginning of their paper to attract or to draw in their readers. But the adjective form attractive actually refers to the way something or someone looks. So you might say, oh, that hot model over there, he is very attractive. But for your paper, the word attractive would have to describe how it looks, maybe like the fonts and the colors and the images, but still it is kind of an odd adjective to use to describe writing. So if you want to tell someone that their writing attracts you, you can use these adjectives instead. Engaging, enjoyable, entertaining, or interesting. These words are much more appropriate for describing writing. Now, I have actually seen students use this word in other ways as well that make a little less sense to me. For example, they will say, your use of transition words makes your paper more attractive. And in this case, I don't know how transition words really relate to how exciting or engaging your paper is. So if you are just using the word attractive as a positive adjective to describe writing, you might want to consider what you're describing. So transition words would actually make the paper easier to follow, easier to read. It would make your paper flow more smoothly or flow well. So really be careful with this word that you're not just throwing it around because you're not sure what to say. I hope these suggestions give you some alternate vocabulary to use instead of the word attractive. Okay, and our third word to avoid is the word efficient. For instance, your example is not efficient because it contradicts your viewpoint. The word efficient actually means not wasting time or energy or to complete a task quickly. Oftentimes we talk about fuel efficient cars, so it doesn't waste the fuel, or completing a task efficiently means you didn't waste any time, you did it very quickly. So in this sentence, this means that your example is not wasting time or energy, which doesn't make much sense. What I think my students mean to say is the adjective effective. Effective means successful, useful, or producing the result that you want. So in our sentence, we might say, your example is not effective, it is not successful, it is not useful because it contradicts your viewpoint. And before we move on to the next word, if you found this video helpful so far, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and click that notification bell so that YouTube will notify you whenever I post a new video. Thank you! And the fourth word you should stop using is the word look to talk about writing. For example, your word choices make your paper look more academic. Again, similar to the word attractive, look refers to how something appears, the fonts, the colors, the images. But I want you to think of your writing as speaking. Your writing has a voice. So we are not going to talk about how it appears. We are going to talk about how it sounds. To sound means how your reader hears your writing. So in our example, we will change looks into sounds. Your word choices make your paper sound more academic. And the last word you should stop using is the word vivid. I hear this word all the time. I'm pretty sure it's gotta be on some SAT vocab list somewhere, but my students overuse it and they use it incorrectly. For example, the evidence you provide is vivid. The word vivid means colorful, vibrant, or bright, and is usually used in descriptive writing. Maybe you talk about how the sunset was full of oranges and blues, and your description is very vivid. But in academic writing like history or sociology or psychology, you're probably going to be using very boring and academic evidence in your papers, not evidence that is vivid. So instead of using this word, some other adjectives that you can use include effective, like we saw earlier, relevant, which also means related, strong, or useful. So again, throw out the word vivid unless you're talking about poetry or something that is very descriptive. And when you're talking about evidence or academic writing, use these adjectives instead. All right, well, there you have it. 5 words to avoid when talking about writing and some other words you can use to replace them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new, and I will see you next time. Bye!